And I'm going to read Amanda's intro just so we have a little bit more background on who she is. Okay, so Amanda Love is a nutrition, wellness, real food cooking consultant. She is a certified healing food specialist, a real food chef, nutrition therapy practitioner, past Weston A. Price Conference chef, and a recipient of the Weston A. Price Food Activist Award. She is also a board member of the Food Activist Organization, the Cornucopia Institute. For years, she has been teaching families, farmers, and freedom-seeking food lovers how to reclaim the power of simple, nourishing cooking and lead happier and more harmonious lives. She works with clients one-on-one at her office at Healing Austin using functional lab testing, muscle testing, and clinical nutrition while helping clients to deepen their connection to their bodies through a more intuitive approach to eating and lifestyle. Her specialty is a woman's wellness and holistic fertility. So may I introduce to you Amanda, and we are privileged to have her today so that we can hear her life, kind of her journey into health and how she started her practice. Take it away, Amanda.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be
Hello,
here.
Amanda.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me on, Tracy.
You're welcome.
So where shall I begin?
Well, if you could tell us kind of your health journey, how you got into what you're doing.
Okay. Well, my health journey really began with my grandmother, who just passed at 97 years old. My grandmother was really a pioneer of her time. She started the first health food store in New Mexico in 1977. And she was a big influence on me. She really thought outside the box at a time when there really wasn't many options for real food. She opened a little store, sold raw milk and good eggs and real food, and started selling vitamins. And she really always influenced me for Christmas presents and birthday presents. I would receive vitamins in the mail, and so that was always kind of in my background, that health influence. And then my mom was kind of a health nut, and my uncle was a naturopath. So it was really in my family line to be interested in health. But then on the other side, on my dad's side of the family, there was a lot of dis-ease and just wonderful, loving people, but they're always sick. And they're mostly all diabetic and obese and very unwell and in the hospital for this or that, and many have died early. And so I could see there was really two paths before me. I could go down that path of just eating conventional food, junk food, white flour, white sugar, refined processed foods, and probably become sick myself. Or I could go down the path of health, which might take a little bit more work, and really claim health. I also had a lot of health issues as a child. I think I inherited a lot of my dad's junk, a lot of his stuff, asthma and allergies, and had a lot of childhood sicknesses. But I really healed myself of all of that coming into my teenage years, getting empowered with nutrition knowledge and wisdom. And so I really began to feel it was my divine mission to listen to this following of reminding people that we're meant to be healthy in a world where it seems like that's been forgotten so much, that I'm here to just remind people that, hey, we're supposed to feel good, to fulfill our life in all its fullness, and to be well and vital and healthy and happy. So it was always my passion. I knew from a young age that I would become some kind of natural healing practitioner And little did I know that my path would be so much about food. I did start cooking at a young age, and I cooked my whole childhood. And I planned to do something else with my young adult life, but I did become a chef, become a natural food chef at the age of 20 to 22, and did that for the next about 20 years, helping people heal with real kitchen detoxes and help people their homes, their kitchens. One gentleman had cancer, and he's like, just get rid of it all. And we cleaned out 9 garbage cans full of junk food in his kitchen. And I cooked for him and taught him how to cook, and he healed completely naturally of cancer. And I worked with a lot of people like that would return to wholeness and wellness with just restoring their health with real food, getting rid of the junk, and then eating fresh, whole, real food. So I really got to understand firsthand the power of real food, not just for myself and my own body and healing asthma and allergies by getting rid of refined processed foods, but and incorporating powerful healing foods, but through the food and also cooking, learning to cook. That's been a big part of my journey is teaching other people to cook, because in America, so many people don't cook anymore. They don't know how to cook. They weren't taught, or they just have no clue how to even boil water. And so to teach people how to cook is, I think, one of the most important skills in reclaiming health, because when they learn how to nourish themselves with real, delicious, healing, home-cooked food made with good ingredients and good oils and mindfully prepared, that's really the first step, the first foundation to reclaiming their health. And I see that time and again with my clients, that when they start to cook, everything shifts in their life. If they weren't cooking before, they really start to come alive in a whole new way. I believe in supplements. I love the supplements and the power of the supplements, but the food is the foundation. And I really see that as like number one in getting people to heal, is eating real food. So I take people on farmers market tours and show them what foods I love to buy and which ones are the best and most vital, and then advise people to cook seasonally and organic with organic local ingredients, and to really cook lovingly and mindfully and carefully. We can ruin the life force in the food if we overcook it or maybe don't cook it enough. So there's definitely an art to how we eat, and then eating in a relaxed manner with good conversation, and really focusing on good digestion is important, as opposed to just eating while talking about politics or watching the news. It's not good for digestion. So that's a very nutshell version of how I got started.
Super. And how has focusing on gut health impacted your practice?
Well, one of my main passions is holistic fertility, is helping people to get pregnant naturally and have healthy babies, because I'm really, really disturbed by all the sick babies that I'm seeing, the sick children, the children that are coming into this world with severely compromised immune systems that are having the biggest rate of autism we've ever seen before in human history. And now it's, a few years ago, it was 1 in 10. Now it's like almost 1 in 3 in boys. And ADD, ADHD, learning disorders, speech difficulties. This is so common now. And people just begin to accept it as normal. Like, oh yeah, my kid has this issue, your kid has this issue. But if you look back 50 years ago, this was not happening. This this is not the norm. And I don't think we should accept that as normal. It's a sign that something is really off. And it really goes back to the state of your gut before you conceived. So I'm really passionate about helping couples, women specifically, but really couples, to really heal and get healthy before they conceive, because it's not just their gut health that they're inheriting, it's their mothers, their grandmothers, and so on and so on. And as the gut health is deteriorated in the last generations from processed food, from overuse of antibiotics, from synthetic hormones, birth control pills, and all the other toxins in our diet and lifestyle, the gut health has gone way down. And the baby inherits that. And so the baby's inheriting where they came from. They're either getting poor gut health from their mother or good gut health. So that poor gut health that they're inheriting is likely going to mean a life of health issues for them, asthma, allergies, and all the other issues that I mentioned before. Where if the parents and the mother specifically can take a few months to prepare her body before she gets pregnant, then she can really create a much microbiome, the flora, creating a much richer environment for all those good buggers. Not only will she have a stronger child, a more robust, resilient child, but also a smarter child, one that's likely to be well and And so that's my passion, is to create a world of healthy babies, healthy children for our future generations, reverse this trend of sickness. And that really starts in large part with the gut. But also when you create a healthy gut, you're much more likely to create healthy hormones. When your gut is working properly and your liver is working and your gallbladder can break down fats, then those hormones can be created. And I see so many women with hormone problems, infertility, they can't get pregnant because their hormones are too high or too low. And so much of it is their gut is just really imbalanced and they're not able to process the hormones, or they're estrogen dominant, their liver is just too clogged, they're not able to recycle the hormones that they have produced. So getting the gut in order, getting people pooping and digesting and assimilating food is of utmost importance.
Super. And what tools do you find the most effective?
What tools? Well, I incorporate looking at, well, first just talking to people, finding out what's going on with them, how they're eating. The food journal is really one of the most important tools. Looking at people's diet is so telling to me. I can really tell so much about them, their lifestyle, how they live, how they think, everything from their diet. And then, excuse me, looking at their functional lab testing. So I do at least a functional blood test on everybody when I see them the first time, and I get a really good idea of where they're at, how their digestion is, their iron levels, their vitamin D, their thyroid, their blood sugar, their cardiovascular markers, etc. I do some other functional lab tests, but that's like 101, is doing a really good comprehensive blood test that I look at in a functional range. And then I also do muscle testing. I find it so helpful to let me know what's going on with the body right then and there, what the priorities are. And it often really coincides with the blood test as well. Like, for example, so many women that come see me, they'll have markers that are showing their blood sugar numbers are very low, and they're trending towards hypoglycemia. And then we'll muscle test them, and I'll find their pancreas reflex point is often weak. And when I get them to start eating more consistent, eating more regularly, having more real foods, those blood sugar markers change and the pancreas point gets strong, usually within a few weeks. So, so muscle testing and then talking to people is one of the most important things. And just looking at them, looking at their face, their tongue, their eyes, under their eyes, their nails, their skin, all of those are great indicators to help me know what's going on with the person. But I see a lot of common issues with the women that I see, which is mostly the clientele that I focus on these days. Should I tell you about that?
Sure. Is this a gut related case study?
Well, I'd say much of it roots back to the gut.
Good.
Yeah. I'll just mention a couple things.
Super.
The common things that I'm seeing are blood sugar issues. So that's so common that people are just not eating enough, not eating frequently enough, skipping meals. A lot of women are doing intermittent fasting because they heard it was a good idea. But in practicality and reality, it's not actually working. I'm seeing for a lot of women, and they can do it once they're stable, but doing it from an unstable place is really not a good idea. It can tend to unstabilize women even more. So that's really big. And then having all kinds of indigestion, gas, bloating, belching, constipation, diarrhea, that's very common. And again, with some simple dietary changes and then incorporating some powerful supplements, like I pretty much put everyone on Megaspore and IgG 2000. That really helps to stabilize and normalize so many things. And then womb issues, period related problems, cramps and heavy bleeding or not bleeding, ovarian cysts, fibroids, things like that. A lot of those things get cleared up when we brain issues, brain fog, and anxiety, depression. Those are the other common issues that I see once they start to eat real food and incorporate good probiotics and start to heal the gut. That usually clears up pretty fast as well.
So what strategies do you use with the microbiome products that have to be customized to your patients?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, how do people, sorry, it was cutting in a little bit. Just how people respond to it and how you have to change things depending on the person.
Okay. I should go really, really slow with them. And so with those clients, I would often start out with the HU58 and just go very slow, like half a pill a day, and work it in very slowly. And when there's good response from that, I'll add in the IgG 2000. So they're getting them up to at least like one pill twice a day of each of those products. And when they're good and stable with those two products, I'll add in, excuse me, the Megaspore slowly. Some people I can just add in a pill a day and they're fine of the Megaspore. But some people I've found if I do that, they'll have a severe reaction. That's rare, I find, but there are some, very sensitive people. So I will tell them just have, for very, very sensitive people, I would just have them open up the capsule and do like a quarter of a teaspoon in a little water once a day, and then work up to, sorry, I meant capsule, half a capsule in water once a day, and then maybe do that for like 1 or 2 weeks, and then slowly work up to 1 capsule a day. And then the goal is to work up to 1 capsule a meal. So 1 capsule Megaspore a meal, and then just maintain that. And then according to muscle testing, I might come down at some point to, 1 twice a day, but I take 1 with each meal. So I feel like that's a good kind of maintenance dose for the Megaspore. And then I also might add in the Restore Flora. I find, almost everybody's got fungal overgrowth, yeast overgrowth. So that really helps to balance out the the bad yeast with some good beneficial flora yeast. And trying to think, those are the main products that I use of your line. I take some of the other products personally, but those are the main products that I use with my clients.
Can you think of a serious or difficult gut condition that you were able to coach someone through and they had a turnaround?
Mm-hmm. Well, one of my clients, she had, so this is an indirect gut issue. She had psoriasis for years on her scalp, and that is often it's a gut related issue. It's often food sensitivity, but also showing there's usually disturbance in the microbiome. And so I had her start taking the Megaspore. This is when that was one of the few products you had out before everything else. And so she just started taking the Megaspore, and after 2 weeks, her psoriasis completely went away. So she then bought a case from me. She became a case purchaser.
Right.
She was like, I will not be without this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely one, like pretty quick healing success story. And then another was just a quick story was me when I was traveling to Mexico, which I go to every year, and it's really easy to get sick there, get a foodborne illness, even though I'm proactive and I take stuff. I knew I ate something and I was starting to feel sick and like, oh no, I'm gonna get sick and I could be sick for the rest of the trip. And so I took 8 Megaspores. I'd already been on it for a while, but I was already taking it every day, but not that quantity. I took 8 Megaspores, and within a few hours, I was completely fine. I was over it.
Good.
I was all good.
Great.
Yeah. So I have to think about some other healing cases, but those are some immediate ones.
Has there been anybody that really struggled on the product, and what did you do?
I'm trying to think. I know there was, I mean, it's been rare, but who just and had cleansing reactions. So I just slowed it down a lot with her. I just had her come off for 3 days and then just add in just a quarter of a cap like every other day and just very slowly add it back in and worked her up more slowly. Sometimes I don't know how slow I have to be with people until they have a reaction. So she was able to get back up to a good get up to a good number Megaspore, but we had to just slow it down a lot.
Super.
And those are usually people that have been eating processed food for their whole life. They've never eaten fermented foods. They've never even had yogurt, much less kombucha. Their gut is not used to real good bacteria, and it's like, whoa, big reaction. But I usually see when the gut gets accustomed to that and starts kicking out the bad stuff, that person also just comes to life in all new ways, and their not just their energy and their gut issues, but also their life might change in many ways. They have realizations, revelations. They often change jobs or careers. Maybe start following their true life purpose. Become much happier. It's like a whole life change happens when you help somebody heal their gut. It's amazing.
Yes, yes. And that's, if you were to kind of sum everything up, to give other practitioners some encouragement that they can pass on to their patients about the gut-brain connection, how people do change, as far as a lot of these patients think that they're going to have to be struggling forever. And that really discourages them from taking care of themselves, cooking for themselves. But can you show that there's some light at the end of the tunnel when they fix their gut?
Yes, it's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. and it will probably happen sooner than they think once they begin to heal and digest food. They're going to start to feel so much better because they probably haven't been getting much of the nutrition out of the food they're eating. Once they heal their gut and add all this good, create a good healthy microbiome, they're actually going to get the nutrition and the nutrients and the life force from the food. So that's going to give them more energy and make them feel better. And then they'll begin to feel better mentally and get happier once their gut is turned back on. That's going to transfer to the brain and just create a much more calm, peaceful way of being, and really release anxiety and depression and just feeling bad. Healing, if you've been sick for a long time, it's not always an easy journey, and yet it's one that's worth taking if you can just know there is a better life for you. There is a life that where you can feel better and happier and fully express your gifts and your joy on this planet. It's worth taking the journey to get there for you. And you'll probably feel better sooner than later. Sometimes in a few days, in a few weeks, people will feel so much better. It usually is pretty fast when you begin to heal the gut.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions from everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. I think everyone is unmuted.
Yeah, I'm here. I just got back to you now.
Super.
I was lost from the time that she was going to describe one of her clients. That was when I got lost.
Well, the good news is this is recorded. And I don't know if that was the psoriasis client that she was discussing. It took, after the megaspore, the psoriasis healed up. I think she said about, what was that?
Yeah.
3 weeks?
2 weeks.
In 2
Wow.
weeks. 2 weeks. So now this is your by a dozen client. So she's not without her megaspore. And I have heard that before.
Right.
Wow. Okay. I really would have loved to hear that story.
Well, we'll make sure you get the link so you can hear that.
Okay.
This is Kevin. I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
So with the nails, I know a large part, you can tell what's going on inside the gut by looking at skin, nails, hair, that type of idea. What do you look specifically for the nails?
I look at the nail beds to see if they have moons at the bottom of the nails, like this part. There should be moons. That's a good indicator of good digestion, and then also if you press on the nail, it should be pink. If it's white, that can be an indicator of low iron, and then that's often again low absorption too. Ridges. There's some really great resources out there and books that talk about all about under the eyes as well, and looking at the bottom of the tongue, looking like go like that, and looking under their lips. I see iron deficiency a lot, especially in lab tests. And then when I look at the signs, it often is confirmed. So getting them absorbing will help them to break down the iron better. And then I often see those areas get pinker when you look under the eyes. If it's kind of white and pale and under the lips, then that's often an indication of low iron, and that can change usually within a few months when you get them absorbing again.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, a follow-up for this?
Sure.
Okay. In my own area, of course, I also do a lot of, I check on the nails and the tongue and under the tongue, maybe not as much as Amanda described. But what I notice here when I do lab work is that a lot of people actually have high levels of ferritin. And I don't know how that relates to iron absorption, whether it is something that is peculiar to our people here. I know this will be indicative of some higher level of oxidative stress. But I'm wondering, I'm not used to seeing people with evidence of low absorption of iron the way she described them.
Interesting. Wow, that's very interesting. I rarely see high levels of ferritin. So my understanding is ferritin is like the savings account of iron. It's like indicating, how much iron you have in storage. So I'm wondering what the iron levels look like of the people. Are you also looking at the iron?
I really don't know. Maybe it's something I need to look into. I must confess that most of the people I have had reasons to check their ferritin levels are actually cancer patients, because they make up, let's say, about 80% of my clients. Okay, wow. So but I've been getting interested in looking into a lot of women who are trying to get pregnant, but I never really get to check their ferritin levels or iron levels studies. I don't know, but now that you've said that, maybe I might need to look into that also.
Yeah, well, so you're saying that you do also work with women that are trying to get pregnant, is that what you said?
Yes, I'm beginning to see a few of them, not much, but I guess in the near future, the number will be increasing. So I really would love to learn how you go about, preparing them. That's why I was interested in all that you were saying. Yeah.
Also, ferritin stores is an indication of liver inflammation.
Okay. Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could you put your camera down a little bit? I can't see your face very well.
Okay. Is it any better?
There you
Much
go.
better.
Now I can see you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We're looking at the ceiling.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Better.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. Maybe let me turn it this
Well,
way and
I
see if it
would,
is better.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that
Okay.
if those levels are really high, I also tend to see pathogens. That can be an indicator of pathogens. If their iron or ferritin is really high, and it probably shouldn't be. If they're not eating much meat or they're not taking iron, that's usually an indicator of some pathogens, parasites, bacteria, virus, fungus, something like that going on. So
I've seen it with
that's
when they cook
another
in iron
of
skillets.
those. But I would go ahead.
When cooking
Tracy,
in
say it again. Mm.
iron skillets,
Oh,
the
I,
type of cookware,
Mm-hmm.
oh,
I've
okay.
seen, yeah, that increase the iron stores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know about that. Um, yeah, I mean, my issue is more low iron than high iron, but cancer is not my expertise, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but it's probably some kind of oxidative stress, like Tracy was saying, when the levels are too high. But I wonder if there's some kind of iron in the water where you live, or something like that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tracy, I wanted to say well, before now, a lot of people here use more of aluminum pots. I am one of those who's been preaching against aluminum pots.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know whether there are also some kind of iron pots. I don't know, you called it iron pellets or something,
Iron
maybe,
skillets.
or
Iron skillets
skillets.
are real common. I know what I was looking at cookware, that the best cookware is, what do they call the titanium, as strong of steel content that you can get, so there's no leaching into the food. So aluminum, copper, all of those can be, detrimental if they're
Yep.
leaching the metal into the food.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that aluminum is very common. Even here, almost all restaurants cook with aluminum pots and pans.
Mm-hmm.
It's so common because it's cheap, it's thin, it's inexpensive. But you're right, to preach against people using that, because it is really a toxin. It's a brain toxin for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So stainless
Okay.
steel is much better for pots, and then
Yeah.
cast iron pans are great. Cast iron skillets, glass, stoneware, as long as they're clean, no chemicals, and then those are good quality things to
Okay.
cook with.
Okay.
No Teflon and non-stick kind of pans either.
Right.
Okay.
And what Amanda was saying about the pathogens, there's a lot of organisms that feed off of iron. So that's what she's saying, that you can get low iron is usually an indication that these pathogens are consuming the iron.
Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
see. I understand. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. would love, Amanda, I would love to know some of the things you really did with the cancer patient that you mentioned during your introduction. You did mention about
Mm-hmm.
a cancer patient that you once had. I would love to, because like
Yes.
I said, as at now, 80% of my clients are really cancer patients, and I really would
Wow.
love to know how to help them better, especially with
Okay.
the protocols that you have. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I've worked with probably five cancer patients, and that's before I was fully a practitioner, when I was just working with food as a natural chef, and I helped them just with food. So just know that that is possible too, that many people can heal with just food. But the first key is getting the junk out of their diet, getting all the processed foods out, the white sugar, the flour, the refined processed oils, the soy, the canola, the cottonseed, the corn oil, things like that, getting all that out. And then getting the chemicals out of their life, getting the chemicals out of their home, the toxic cleaners and all the chemicals that people use in their day-to-day life. Those have to go, number one, so you quit causing stress. But then starting to add nutrition. So a lot of people with cancer have very poor digestion. So giving easy to digest foods is really helpful, like making homemade bone broth and making soups, like pureed soups or curries, things that are kind of soft, warming, simple, not too complicated, not too many ingredients, that are like bone broth is so good for the gut. It's so nourishing. It makes digestion much stronger, especially if you add it to foods, cook with it. So I love teaching people how to make soups. Just simple vegetable soups with bone broth, broccoli soup, squash soup, zucchini soup. You can always add some spices to increase digestion, like cumin, coriander, turmeric, ginger, things like that. And getting people drinking broth itself is wonderful as well. And then fresh green vegetable juice is great too, because people really need the life force of vegetables, but they often can't digest them raw. While it's wonderful, can be a little too much for some people's weakened digestion. So if you can get them juicing green vegetables, then they get that nutrition really quickly. You can do a lot just with those two things, with soups and green vegetable juice. I actually have a cleanse called the Nourishing Cleanse on my website, and it shows people how to do that, how to really heal with just soup, broth, so
like
putting or chicken or whatever in the pot, often or fish. Often those people they still need protein, but they need it really digestible. So slow cooked as opposed to like grilled or cooked quickly is going to be more easy. Smoothie be good. Sugar. I'm not sure the foods that you have. I don't know Nigerian. I don't know the Nigerian foods. I'd love to learn, but keeping it very simple, having very simple diet that's just almost like you're eating baby food again. Very, very simple to digest foods. So you're not causing more distress from digestion when the body really needs to focus on healing. Some periods of fasting can be really helpful as well. So that's just a few ideas. Again, cancer is not my expertise, but you can do a lot with diet and just soups, broths, juices, some simple smoothies with low sugar fruit. You really got to get the sugar out completely. Yeah, is that helpful?
very helpful. Of course, I wish I could get one of I've been trying to encourage one of the ladies around here to look deeper into preparing dishes that are very nourishing. And I wish I could get her to listen to you so that she can adapt, because that's where her interest is. so that she can adapt what you're teaching, what you're saying to our local environment. You know, so I hope to get your website. If Tracy does not mind, I would like to get your website so that I can go look up the, what you recommended on the site.
Amanda, go ahead and give it to him, and then make sure I have it, and I'll send it out to everyone as well.
Okay, it's really simple.
Thank you, Tracy.
It's amandalove.com, all one word, amandalove.com, AMANDALOVE, amandalove.com. And you'll see the Nourishing Cleanse on there. I think that would be really helpful for your patients. Doctor, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. What's your name?
Oh, Dr. Sam, SAM.
Dr. Sam. Nice to meet you, Dr. Sam.
Nice to meet you, Amanda. Okay.
I would love to stay in touch, and we can definitely talk again. I can give you some more ideas.
Sure, would love that. I would really love to connect with you.
Okay, yeah, you can contact me through my website.
Yeah. Okay.
I missed that.
I'll sure do that.
Contact me
and
through
thank
my
you,
website.
Amanda, for this.
My pleasure. Thank you. So nice to meet you all the way
Tracy,
from Africa.
thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yes.
This is also a forum for networking, so we want to help each other.
Great.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you very
Across
much.
the world.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Voila. I wish I could add everything that is on my mind, but I hope I'm not going to take too much time. Okay, but I would like to, if you could refresh again what she said, and probably Tracy, your own ideas about how to bring in the microbiome lab products into the the protocols.
Amanda, do you want to talk about your specific patients and kind of when you introduce them to the products?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, usually right away, usually the first visit, I'll send something off the FDA, and the IgG 2000 is where I'll start, and then just kind of get their gut stabilized and make sure they're not having any reactions from those products, which is rare. And then usually 2 weeks later, I'll add the Megaspore, and then increase that until it's at a really therapeutic dose, like usually one per meal, like 3 times a day. Sometimes more, but that's kind of the dose that I aim to get people at. And then the Restore Flora, that's another one that I'll use if I'm suspecting more fungal candida kind of issues. Yeah, it really depends on how sensitive somebody is.
Okay.
Person, I would start with 50 IgG 2000, and we add in the Megaspore and Restore Flora. I'm not sure, Tracy, if I'm doing that completely right. That's just kind of what I've been doing, but Tracy would probably be able to give a better answer of the way it should be done.
Well, as Amanda has found, there's sensitivities in individuals, and you really have to develop your own approach. And some will start real conservative. You can pre-treat with IgG 2000 for those you already know are very toxic and have issues with every supplement you put them on. Then so if we go from the most conservative approach to just starting straight out with Megaspore is that spectrum. And before, when all we had was Megaspore, that's what people started with. So you can do that, but you have to be conscious to start very, very slow. And for some of these individuals, you need to open up the capsule and maybe just take a pinch of it. And but it's a matter of starting somewhere and then adapting to how sensitive they are. You'll find that those sensitive people are probably less than 20%, but those 20% will take up 80% of your time because
Sure.
they are sensitive. So as soon as you can identify those individuals, the better. The 80% of the other people will take the Megaspore. They'll be able to titrate up, using the 1 capsule every other day program, and they're fine. And you just let them go on the total gut restoration, follow the directions, and then work with your sensitive people in alternate type of protocols.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is quite helpful. There was a product Amanda mentioned before the IgG 2000. What was the first one she mentioned?
The HU58. You want to talk
HU.
about that? HU58.
Okay.
You should probably talk about that, Tracy.
Yes,
Yeah.
the HU58 is our probiotic that has just 1 spore in it. So it has the Bacillus subtilis. Bacillus subtilis is in the other probiotics, but in this one, it's a standalone. It has really good results just by itself. We published a clinical trial that shows it reduces, different cytokines by 45 to 50%. It reduces ammonia, so it helps with your hepatic encephalopathy or your liver failure patients. So, the power of just that one product is good, but it's also simple. And for those individuals that struggle, their immune system has been damaged from long-term dysbiosis, they need to start out very simply. So the most simple products we have are HU58 and IgG 2000. And the HU, just so you know, stands for Holloman University. That's in the University of London. That's where all of our spores come from. That's kind of the spore bank of getting the highest quality spores that have all been genetically typed.
See.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you. This is quite helpful. Actually, when I ordered the microbiome lab product, I had one patient in mind. She is so sensitive that even when I came back, since I returned to my country, I've been afraid to even start with her. I told her about the products, but I said, I'm not going to give them to you because I don't know what will happen until I get to hear from Tracy and learn something from her about the products. Okay, so I haven't even started. She has a multiple, kind of symptoms issues.
Okay, I think we lost reception.
Cutting out.
Dr. Sam, we're losing your reception there.
Joint inflammation. Can you hear me now?
We didn't hear the description of the patient. I think I heard joint inflammation.
It's back now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so she is a very sensitive patient, and most of the supplements she had tried, she will always react. Right. So we became quite afraid of what else we could put her on that will work, and she was the reason why I ordered the microbiome lab products. But I was even concerned about giving them to her because I didn't quite know how to start.
Okay, right. Well, so know that with any of the products, you can start with any of them. Just start extremely slow. You may have to do just a 1/16th to an 1/8 of a capsule every other day, but it's a start, and just slowly increase it. And if shows any indications of bowel distress, back off a little bit and then start again. And you'll find that you can start her with what you have, and you can always bring in the HU58, stop what you're doing, start with that, and then use the Megaspore to graduate to. So you would start with HU58, graduate to Megaspore, because it has more spores in it. But whatever you have, just start slow.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is very helpful. Okay.
Be patient with it, and it does take time. For example, for me, it took about 5-6 months before I could handle the 2 Megaspore a day. But be patient and wait, because it does work.
Thank you. Kevin,
Yes.
thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Okay, wonderful. This is very, very informative. Okay. So, Amanda, can we hear some more of your patient stories?
Sure. Do we have time, Tracy, or do we need to go?
Well, I think I'm going to end the recording so that it's short enough for people that they won't be intimidated to listen to it. And then we can go ahead and keep talking.
Okay, I do have to go in a few minutes, just so you know.
Oh, yeah. So when you're ready to go, just let us know.